Trade titans, blazing trails, trade titans never fail. Sharing wisdom, sharing truth, building futures, raising roofs through challenges and victories. Innovation sets us free.
I'm excited to welcome Faith Penny, founder of Collected Spaces, an interior design firm based right here in Charlotte. Faith recently took a leap from working for another company to launch her own business. She's also a fellow member of Business Leaders of Charlotte, or Block, which is how we connected. Faith, welcome to Trade Titans.
Thank you for having me, James. Excited.
Of course.
This is my first podcast ever, so.
Is it? Well, thanks for coming on. I'm glad to be your first.
Yes.
So before we dive in too much, tell us a little bit about Collected Spaces, how it became a thing, and what exactly you do.
So Collected Spaces is a full service interior design firm. So really that covers everything from full furniture and decor to planning, renovations, space planning, and seeing through the building process. I really love that side of it. It has ebbed and flowed in many ways as far as my career and my business. So in a lot of ways, I still think I'm honing in like what I really love and want to focus on. But right now, a lot of it is just super fun. I love all the aspects of it, which is a plus. Yeah. So I've been in the interior design field for about 20 years, which is crazy. And like I said, it has ebbed and flowed through a lot of different sectors, which now is a huge plus for me in my career. I've worked kind of on the building side of it with home builders. I've worked in the retail sector, not my favorite, but learned so much, which of course is super beneficial when it comes to actually sourcing and purchasing furniture and decor for clients, because I have a lot of background with what's out in the world of retail and manufacturing for the industry. So while that wasn't my favorite, I learned a lot from it, and I'm very happy that I have that experience. And then in the interior design, the last firm I was with was for 10 years and just really solidified that this is what I wanted to do, and that I was, I'm a little bit of a commitment phobe. So, saying this is it and I'm going to take this, start my own business took me a while to get there. But I'd say in the last 5 years or so, a shift in me with my confidence level and just, again, that comfort that like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing really solidified for me and made it pretty easy to make the decision to go off my own.
Awesome. And what drew you to interior design to begin with?
It's funny. I think about that a lot. I think it started very young without me knowing it. Like my mom was a single mom, struggled a lot when I was younger. So she had to get really creative with like fun stuff to do with me as a kid. And I have very early memories of literally just like walking the streets of Boston or New Bedford, Massachusetts, where there's a lot of historical buildings, or going into open houses. That was something we would do too. It's like go to fancy houses and pretend like we were in the market. And I just really became fascinated with design and architecture at a really young age. I never thought about it as a career. I wanted to be a doctor until I was probably in junior high when I fully realized what that meant as far as schooling and, that commitment. Talk about being a commitment phobe. Committing so much more school, and also knowing that if I was going to do it, I would be fully committed. And that, I do believe, means that other areas of my life might suffer, because as a doctor, especially, I think the kind of medicine I would have been interested in would have been all encompassing. And I realized that wasn't me. That wasn't what I wanted. And then I wanted to study criminal justice and get into prison reform. So clearly a pattern of wanting to like help people and improve people's lives. And I don't know, it was literally like junior year, you got to decide where you're going to college and what you're going to do. And like out of nowhere, I was like, or interior design. And I remember my mom so specifically being like, Faith, that is the first thing you've ever said that's made any sense to me. Like, you're a natural, you love it, you're passionate about it. I was that kid that was constantly rearranging furniture in our house. Again, with the single mom thing, I was a latchkey kid. So I can remember coming home as early as like probably third grade to an empty house. And my mom would come home from work and I'd moved this sofa in the living room. And she'd be like, first of all, how did you, an 80-pound-year-old, 8-year-old, with a sofa by herself. But so, yeah, it's really funny because I don't remember the moment that I was like interior design, but it just kind of happened. And like my mom said, it was the first thing that really made sense to me and kind of the life that I want. So
That's good. Not very many people, not a lot of people figure that out early on.
no, and I think for like kind of like I said, I think for many years I wasn't sure, and a lot of that I think was just because I hadn't gotten the right job. I hadn't gotten in the right place. I wasn't, the retail thing happened a lot because of the timing. I graduated, I think in '05, although I can't remember. And I had a job since I was 13, worked all through college. Like literally it was like 9 to 5 through college, night classes. I don't know how I had to manage the social life, but I did. And so when I graduated, about 6 months after graduation, I decided to take a break. Not the smartest thing to do at that time. If I was psychic and knew what would be happening in the very near future, I would have stuck to it and gotten a good job then. But obviously the market crash kind of came and I hadn't found that. And then all of a sudden I was in a market full of, people who had been in a career for 20 years, also looking for a job. And here I was, a sort of newly graduate who just took 2 years like traveling and couch surfing. So I wasn't the most attractive candidate at that time when, the market was full of people with a lot of experience looking for jobs too. And so that's kind of how I fell into the retail side of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'll somewhat switch gears a little bit and go back to your transition period of transitioning from your past job to your current business. What has that transition been like for you?
It's been amazing. I think I'm very lucky. I recognize kind of how lucky I am in this transition. I don't think it's as easy for everybody as it was for me, but I had my boss, although she was really kind of more of a partner in work, was so supportive and excited for me. So that in itself, to be able to be really proud of the work I had just done for 10 years and leave that with not just on a good term, but like just overwhelming support was amazing. So, I mean, that in itself was a huge boost for me.
You don't get that from a lot of bosses out there. A lot of them are like, "Oh, you want to leave after all?" So it's good to have that support of someone that has been kind of a mentor to you, I'd say too.
Incredible. So, we really kind of grew together. I would say that she was a mentor kind of in the sense of like, I would look to her in a lot of ways. She's 13 years older than me, although she'd had a prior career in business and had just started interior design and her business when we started working together. So in a lot of ways, I came to the table helping her with some experience that she didn't have. But as far as like life,
y'all were able to switch experiences there. It's a good give and take.
Exactly. Yeah. So really, I would think of her kind of as a mentor, but more kind of just in like life goals and like how,
Collaborator.
Yeah. And how I wanted to see myself in 10 years or 15 years or whatever. So yeah, so her support out of the gate was huge. Support with my family, support from friends and very specifically Block. And because of the nature of her business, which was really just me and her, worked pretty independently for the last 7 years or so. So I was running all my own projects. I was, the clients that I was working on sometimes never even met Jackie. And I was even doing a lot of the backside admin stuff. And, so there wasn't a huge transition either. I'd been doing a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now as a business owner. I mean, there's definitely some new stuff, but it wasn't such a huge departure of like employee to business owner for me. So that also made it much easier.
A lot of people that branch out in places like you, they are used to doing that one job. So they come into it and they didn't know the rest of it. So then they run into all these things that they had no clue about because somebody else was doing that the whole time. It sounds like you guys kind of learned from each other and were able to both kind of do your own thing. And so But
Yeah.
with that, has there been any big surprises or challenges that have come up in the first few months for you as a new business owner that you didn't expect?
Not really, but I'm very early, so I'm still kind of waiting for something.
Yeah, give it a little time. You'll get there.
Exactly. So far, it's been pretty great, and I've been, I definitely like learning new things and stretching myself. So, like I kind of wrapped up all my jobs with her. I timed it, so I wrapped up my jobs with her in November of last year, and kind of gave myself that 6 week period before the first of the year to A, enjoy the holidays, and B, just kind of focus on the business side of stuff to feel really prepared to kind of start fresh with clients at the beginning of the year. And I mean, I was doing things. I talked to an accountant and I told her that I had done the online like sales tax or different tax things that the state provides. They do webinars and stuff. So when you sign up for that stuff, they send you all these resources. And I listened to like all of them, and I told my CPA, and she was like, I don't think in my 20 years of working, anyone has ever told me that they've, taken advantage or watched any of those. And I loved it. Like, it was exciting to me. I've been really excited at taking more responsibility for the business side of things. So no real surprises yet, but I need some wood to knock on because I'm sure something's coming.
I also say I don't think there's any business owner in history that hasn't had a surprise or a challenge. I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes. So yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
you'll see them.
Yeah, coming, I'm sure.
But, experience helps too. And so you've had a lot of experience in the industry. So, when those things do arise, hopefully you'll be quicker to know what to do about them as opposed to somebody that might have been newer in the field and having to kind of figure it out for themselves. Plus, we're part of a great group of people. We can always ask and get support from others in our group too.
That's exactly what I was just gonna say. I've never been great at asking for help, but that's something that's changed in me too. And I feel so blessed. Like when I really think about all the people around me, a lot of that coming from Block, but even other friends and stuff who are entrepreneurs. For whatever reason, if it's because it's the business and that's like my new baby, but that like, I don't even think about it as asking for help. And it's like, I have no problem being like, oh, I'm stuck. And it does. And I guess that's another part of why I feel really lucky and this has gone so smoothly is I don't have one person. I could probably list 25 people that I respect who have been successful, that I like, who I trust. I mean, and honestly, that might be conservative, that I have no problem reaching out to. And a lot of that too is knowing that they will not only respond, but be excited to help me and support me. So that's a huge part of the success of this transition too.
Yeah, definitely. Group has made a big impact on me too. So I definitely am with you. I don't ask for enough help though. I'm trying to get better at that.
It's still a challenge for me for sure. But like I said, it is easier when it's and I maybe it's just guidance, another perspective, maybe just changing the word, not using the word helps. Don't say help.
I use this podcast partially to pick people's brains. I mean, I can learn a little bit more about all these different industries and how people are working within them. So this was a learning experience for me as well. So, and hopefully it is for our listeners. So we're going to move into the interior design industry as a whole, how it's evolving, things like that. You've been in this industry now, you said about 20 years, right? What have you seen major changes in that 20 years?
Well, obviously, I mean, the most obvious is technology. When I was in school, my AutoCAD was about it. I'm sure there were some other programs. That was the only automated, computer automated program that we were taught in college. We were still being taught. I took hand drawing perspective classes. And I believe we had to do hand drafting for the whole first year. I think it wasn't even until year 2 that they introduced CAD. So clearly at that point, they still believed that we'd be doing a lot of hand drafting, or at least need the ability to know how to do it, which is hysterical now because when I pull out something and draw a little sketch of something, people are like, can't even believe it.
Hey, what's that for?
Wait, you know how to do that? So many programs to help with translating your ideas and the process to your clients. So that's huge um and beneficial for sure. Also a big change in the industry, prior to the crash of '08, DIY. I am not even saying no, DIY. I'm not a DIY person, which is why I can't even say it. That wasn't really a thing,
No.
and so that was a huge shift in the market, an important shift because I believe everyone deserves a beautiful space that they're proud of, and not everyone can afford an interior designer. It is a luxury service. So I think it's wonderful, and I embrace that to a point. But obviously, I'm an interior designer, so
Gotcha.
you don't find me watching I can't even think of the name of the channel. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
But there's a lot of interior designers on there. You might find some interesting stuff. You never know.
You never know. Usually find interesting stuff.
I don't watch much of that stuff, but every now and again I'll watch like the antique hunters or things like that just to see the unique things they find out there.
Yeah, no, I love that sort of stuff. My gripe with HGTV, again, isn't so much about the DIY, because I do think there's an important need for that. But I think that it has, in a lot of ways, given a lot of misinformation about the industry, especially when it comes to cost and time and different things. And so that is a challenge for me, is like having to debunk a lot of those myths with clients. But I mean, they're certainly not all bad. I have gotten ideas, and I really love the things that the Magnolia channel's doing too. So yeah, technology, and then just the kind of, it's way more in the forefront, I think. 20, 30 years ago, interior design was definitely only, higher upper class or commercial spaces. People didn't really think about it for their everyday
Yeah.
home or use. So that's changed.
And I've known so many interior designers throughout the years, and I know it's definitely had its huge uptick as far as residential, because it used to be mostly commercial, from my understanding. So yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I wish I could do one here. I mean, I probably need somebody, but our problem is it wouldn't stay that way long. We've got too many dogs and people running around.
Well, pets and children.
You got to wait till they're all out of the house first. It's just
Yeah,
or you got to have them well trained, right?
yeah, exactly. All about the well-trained.
Yeah.
I love well-trained pets and children.
I was gonna say the children part of it. That's a tough one.
Actually, the children part of it. Yeah.
So, what design? Sorry, I'm really a little thrown off. So, what design trends are you seeing in Charlotte area right now? Any particular trends, or maybe not even Charlotte, just in general?
I think in general, the biggest kind of trend in the last few years, I mean, a lot has come out of obviously what, we collectively went through a few years ago with COVID. So it has really pushed home and home life to the forefront, I think, in a lot of ways, which I think is great. And whether you're stuck at home because of a pandemic or not, your home really should be your sanctuary. Side note, if this was just about making things pretty, I don't think I could get excited by it or be as passionate. It certainly wouldn't fall in line with me wanting to help people. I truly believe in the power of, the spaces that we inhabit and how they can make you feel. I mean, directly affect your mood, your stress level, give you better sleep, which is clearly the most important thing when it comes to our overall health. I mean, there's so many things. And so really, yes, I love to make spaces beautiful, but what I love so much is how it enhances people's lives. Really, I believe that. So I always say, people sometimes, it can be a lot of money. You're really investing. Again, it's not just about making pretty. You're investing in your overall well-being. And for a very long time, there's a very long ROI on, a home improvement project or furnishing and decoring in a certain way. So I think I did it again, and I forgot what the question was.
No, it's okay. You do it. You give me good information either way.
So the trend, yeah. So again, so this focus now on making our homes and our spaces really functional and a place we want to be. I think is really important. And that's what I was saying. You don't have to have a pandemic to be forced in our house, whether it's the 5 hours you spend in your house at night after a stressful day and being out in this world of craziness to come home to a place that makes you happy and brings you joy and makes you feel safe and secure. Like, I think that's extremely important. So I do think that that is kind of a trend of people recognizing that. And maybe it did take them being stuck in their house with their whole family for 6 months to a year to realize it.
Yeah.
But it is really important.
I can agree with that. I've always had it in my mind, interior designers were just to make your house or your area look fancy. But
And your money make it look fancy. Yeah.
yeah, and but what you're saying, it sounds more I mean that's what people really want. Maybe some super mansion people want fancy look and don't care about the other stuff, but for the most part, people just want an environment that they feel comfortable, and that would be business or personal, I have to say.
Yeah. I don't think people, sorry, I keep hitting my table, shaking the camera. I don't think a lot of people think about it in that way. They think about it like you do, which is fine, which is also part of what makes what I do so amazing because I get to watch people realize that in real time. I can't tell you how many times clients are, burst into tears at a reveal because they're so overwhelmed and they can't believe that it's their space and this is what they get to come home to. And it's not some dream or some television, or getting the call saying, my gosh, the kids love I did a garage that was kind of like a bonus room space. And the kids were all kind of tween age. And I ran into the husband at the grocery store recently, and he just was going on and on about how the kids have loved it so much. It made them want to be at home more, bring their friends over. Like, we get to spend more time with them. So again, yeah, I provided this cool space, but what they're seeing is it provided a place that made their kids want to be home more and gave them more time with their children before they were off to college and their own lives. So that's what excites me and makes this what I love to do.
Awesome. That's got to be rewarding. I mean, I can see why.
It's amazing. It's a wonderful feeling. Yeah.
I bet. Curious, what tools or technologies would you say have most improved your design process, or what are you just most favored about, or as far as a tool or technology that you use?
So I use like a drawing program. I do not hand draft, that is for sure. It's great for presentation purposes. There is a lot to be said for kind of in-person presentations, but in this world, I think you've got to be flexible. And a lot of people, it's hard to schedule that. A lot of my clients are very busy people with full-time jobs and kids and their own, things. And so the ability to be able to make a good presentation and send that via computer if I need to is huge. Sometimes it can take weeks to schedule a time that you can, make it work with a client. And you don't want weeks, obviously, passing in a process like this, especially if you're dealing with construction or renovation where you're on a schedule and need to make decisions quickly. So the time, I'd say that's the greatest thing for me. And the ease of a lot of these new programs are really nice.
Are you seeing AI involved in any of these type programs?
Yes, I have not utilized any of them yet. We talked about this a little before. I don't know what it is. I always seem to not jump on the board of technology right away. I always think about when texting first started. I was maybe 20, early 2000s. I thought it was the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, why wouldn't you just pick up the phone? I'd get so annoyed that people would send me these messages. I would never respond. I would always call them back. And now it's my preferred way of communication. So I do believe I'll, come on board. But I don't know, I always joke that I'm analog. I always kind of resist to technology at first.
I remember the beginning of text messaging, and I remember having the little or big flip phone type thing. And I remember I was so good at texting on those things with the number pad, I could do it behind my back and text a whole conversation without ever looking at the phone. And then when the smartphones came out and I had to touch the screen, I'm like, oh gosh, now I got to learn this all over again. Because it was, you could feel the buttons then. So it was real. I was like, yeah, I might have to click the same number 3 times to get to the letter I'm looking at, but I had it all memorized. It was real quick.
Oh
Cell
my God.
phones now, it's like I have to look at it to text. So it changed. I think it's made texting is one of those things that has partially destroyed us, like social media.
No, for sure. I definitely think it's changed. It has hindered our communication skills for sure.
I'm like,
Our, I mean, and our, oh my gosh, I get text messages from my siblings who I'm the oldest, and I'm 13 years older than the youngest. It's like speaking to another species. I don't even know. Like, I'll get a text message from one of my younger sisters and be like, I have no idea what this says. Can you please translate for an old person that doesn't, I'm like, can you please spell out your words? Like,
it's that type of stuff. I don't know if that's just a trend or if it's gonna stay or go. I feel like it's just a trend because though it's been around for a little while, I think more and more people are the younger crowd are starting to pull away from that now, and we're starting to see them get back into real life, which is great.
it's amazing. I'm seeing that too and hearing things and seeing articles. And I do think that some of the newer, younger generations are maybe realizing the hindrance of it and not loving it, not jumping on board as much, which is, I think, very good for our future.
Ultimately, we're all human and we all need that human interaction. And text messaging and social media is not real human interaction. Unfortunately, it's part of it gives too much power to people that want to remain hidden and say what they want to say without actually revealing themselves. And I think that's just, to me, that's trash. Like, if you're going to say something, say something. If you believe in it, say it. That's fine. But don't hide yourself. And so I love the in-person real life stuff. And if I'm out in person with you and we're having a conversation and I disagree with you, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to do it in the
Nice.
proper way, but I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you. I mean, because people disagree all the time, and disagreeing is part of how we grow. It's how we challenge each other and learn more. So, and online, it's not like that. Someone says insulting things about you and you're being cyberbullied, and now you want to go off yourself or something, which unfortunately is happening way too much.
Yeah.
So anyway, sidetrack on social media issues.
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast. But yeah, but to your point though, I do see that there is a little switch in it, and kind of greatly it is coming from the younger people who saying like, hey, this isn't good for us. I mean, the statistics are absolutely insane, and with the levels of anxiety and depression and in young children, and I mean young children, and I don't think anyone can argue it's not a direct response from social media and just kind of the current climate of things. So I'm really happy that they're saying, hey, this isn't good for us.
Exactly. I
Help
love
us.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
But we weren't going to be able to tell them. You know how it is when you're young. You're not going to listen to anybody else anyway. So you got to figure it out for yourself. So I'm glad they're doing that.
Totally.
So I'm going to go through a few quick closing questions and then we are going to finish up today. So first off, what advice would you give to other designers who are considering maybe starting their own business?
Oh gosh, I guess it would probably depend on where they are in that, in their journey of their career, but just dive all in, really. I think that for me, what has, this feeling of responsibility to make this work has really, I'll find myself being like, wow, I can't believe I did that. Or I'm a horrible procrastinator. It's been unbelievable to me how I have been like not allowing myself to do that. And so there's this like motivation behind this, like, I got to do it. And so, just do it. I actually got that not from Nike, but from, a podcast from another interior designer, and I remember her saying it, and I'm like, yeah, just do it, Faith. Just, So yeah, that'd be my thing. Just do it. If you've got your to-do list, do it. Don't put stuff off. Be focused. Be intentional.
If I had to add to that, since you're a newer business, years 3 and 4 are the years where most business owners either get complacent or start getting burned out. There's like things, so that's the time to just stay motivated, stay focused, keep in mind of your goal, where you're trying to work towards, surround yourself with the right people, and you can get there. But it is the 3 to 4 year period is typically some of the tougher times for a lot of business owners. So it's because you get into a flow.
Yeah.
And then, everything, industries change, all of that. Now for someone looking to work with an interior designer, what should they look for to find the right fit?
Well, that's a good question. I do think it depends on kind of what your, how do I say this? I think it depends a little bit on kind of what your goal is and what you want to pursue and what part of the avenue you want to do. Because again, it's a very large industry. Like I said, there's a lot of interior designers that do kind of the full service firms like I'm doing. The interior design can be strictly in the building, working for home builders, or even in the retail or in actual design, designing furniture. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do. So knowing what you really want to do. Also, specifically, maybe you're just really into kitchen and bath designs, seeking out firms or people who are kind of doing the stuff that you're interested in, I'd say is really key. For me, I think if you're a good designer, the aesthetic part of it isn't as important. You should be able to create and design in different aesthetics. So I don't necessarily, some people would say you need to find someone that's got your same aesthetic. Personally, I would maybe encourage you to not, because I think that'll help you grow as a designer to have experience, in different looks.
You don't want to be around someone that's just like you either. Like you need that balance.
Exactly. Communication and quality of life too, I think is really important.
I agree.
To someone that aligns in those things with you too.
So let's move that question from another designer looking to work for somebody. Let's talk about a customer looking to work with a designer. Like, I'm sure they need to be particular about what they do. And actually, let's focus this on collected spaces. Someone that's looking for a service, and why would they use you, or why would they be a good fit for you?
So I would say one of the things that sets my company apart and my experience apart is that varied experience, especially the building side. Our friend Rusty Stevens, I was having a glass of wine with him, which is hysterical. He was like, "So you're an interior designer, right?" He's known me for how many years? I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I hate interior designers," which is a very common response that I get from people in the building sector. And unfortunately, a lot of them have a bad taste in their mouth, interior designers, for very, very valid reasons. I've met those interior designers. It drives me nuts. But I would say it's one of the things about me that sets myself apart. My building experience right out the gate. I mean, my first job while I was still in college was with a custom home builder. So I was being trained. Yeah, I was going to school for interior design, but I was really learning about the building process. I was really being trained in working and dealing with subcontractors, the process of building, what's important, things as far as budgeting and timing. And that really, I think, set me up for success in any job or project that I've had. But specifically now, I have not met a builder that hasn't enjoyed working with me. And I know that that's rare, And so that was my response to Rusty was, "Well, you haven't worked with me. And I can promise you we're not all like that." So if you are doing a renovation or a new build, I would encourage everyone to consider working with an interior designer. I think we bring a lot to the table that you don't get from just an architect or builder. Ideally you're spending, this is a huge thing for anybody, no matter kind of what bracket you're at. It's a big chunk of change. It's a lot of time. It disrupts your life. Why not do everything you can to ensure that the end product is going to be the absolute best product you can get? And in my opinion, that comes from a good collaborative team that absolutely includes an interior designer. And you're not going to get that if you've got a builder that hates working with interior designers, and you're not going to get that with an interior designer that doesn't respect and understand it from the building side. So I'm a great fit for someone that's, doing a project like that, because I'm going to help give you a less stressful process and really kind of handhold you, and also hopefully make it fun. Very few people say doing building is fun. Some of my clients have. I mean, not necessarily the whole process, but like there's moments of levity and, it's not there's so many sad stories about just the most horrible building processes. And, I'm going to do everything I can that you're not one of those people.
Faith, I know you're a vibe altogether, and I feel like anybody that works with you would be lucky and enjoy themselves. I can tell. I've never worked with you in that way, but I just know your personality, and you're a fun, inviting person to be around. So, and I'm sure you bring that into your work, and I may have some referrals to talk to you about after the show.
Awesome.
But I would like to thank you so much for sharing your insights and your journey with us today. And to our
Thanks.
listeners, you're welcome. To our listeners, you can learn more about Collected Spaces at thecollectedspaces.com, which is still in building mode, but you can reach out to her through that site. And if you stay and listen to the AI song that was made about Faith this morning and Collected Spaces, and this has been Trade Titans, Entrepreneurship and AI. Until next time.
Faith Penny walks in with that radiant glow, bringing light to spaces everywhere she goes, turning empty rooms into dreams set free. Her magic touch builds your world uniquely. Collected spaces, yeah, she's got the plan, turning chaos into beauty with the wave of her hand. Faith got the smile that brightens the air, creating peace and style that's beyond compare. She draws the lines where your laughter will float, colors and textures in a perfect combo. Every wall, every floor tells a story she drew. She's designing more than rooms, she's designing for you. Her love for design, her heart in the grind, helping people grow with their spaces aligned. She circles the world with the bigger dream. Face creations glow with the unified theme. Collected spaces, yeah, she's got the plan, turning chaos into beauty with the wave of her hand. Faith's got the smile that brightens the air, creating peace and style that's beyond compare. She draws the lines where laughter will flow, colors and textures in a perfect combo. Every wall, every floor tells a story she drew. She's designing more than rooms, she's designing for you. Collected spaces, yeah, she's got the plan, turning chaos into beauty with the wave of her hand. Faith's got the smile that brightens the air, creating peace and style that's beyond compare. She draws the lines where laughter will flow, colors and textures in a perfect combo. Every wall, every floor tells a story she drew. She's designing more than rooms, she's designing for you. Every chair, every lamp, every single hue is more than just decor, it's a lifestyle for you. From cluttered beginnings to a final surprise, she's giving your home a heartbeat that's alive.